The day Earth's position in the galaxy changed forever started like any other at Cape Canaveral. The morning sun beat down on the launch pad as teams prepared for a routine satellite deployment. No one expected the massive silver ship that appeared in the sky, its hull gleaming like polished mercury. The alien vessel hovered silently over the launch facility, casting a shadow that stretched for miles. Military jets scrambled, news helicopters swarmed, and social media exploded with pictures and videos of humanity's first contact. The ship's arrival was simultaneously the most terrifying and exciting moment in human history. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council representatives. They had been watching Earth for decades, waiting for the right moment to make contact. Now, with humans on the brink of practical space travel, they decided it was time to welcome Earth into the larger galactic community. 3 months later, Ambassador James Miller stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. The chamber stretched upward for what seemed like miles, its crystal walls filled with floating platforms where representatives from hundreds of alien species sat watching. Miller wiped his sweaty palms on his suit pants, trying to stay calm as he prepared to present Earth's case for full membership. "Honorable Council members," he began, his voice steady despite his nerves. "Earth comes before you today to demonstrate our readiness to join the galactic community. We bring with us centuries of technological advancement, including our defensive capabilities." The holoscreen behind him lit up with images of Earth's military hardware. Tanks, fighter jets, warships, and various weapons appeared in crisp detail. Miller felt proud of humanity's achievements until he heard the first chuckle. It started with the blue-skinned representatives from the Third Arm Systems, then spread across the chamber like a wave. Soon, the entire council hall echoed with barely contained laughter. "They still use explosive powder to launch metal," one representative asked between fits of laughter. "How quaint." Another delegate, tall and thin with silvery skin, stood up. "Ambassador Miller, surely you jest. These are museum pieces, correct? Not actual military hardware." Miller's face reddened, but he maintained his composure. "These weapons have served Earth well for centuries. They are highly effective and..." "Effective," a deep voice boomed from above. The High Counselor, an ancient being with crystalline features, leaned forward. "Let me show you what real weapons look like in this age." The holoscreen shifted to display various energy weapons, sleek rifles that fired plasma bolts, ship-mounted laser arrays that could slice through asteroids, and shield systems that could deflect any energy attack. "These," the High Counselor announced, "are modern weapons. Your projectile launchers are charming toys compared to what the galaxy has developed. Even our youngest spacefaring races have moved beyond such primitive technology." To demonstrate, they brought out a standard energy shield and activated it. The shield shimmered in the air like heat waves over hot pavement. "This basic shield can stop any energy weapon below military grade. Would you like to see?" Miller watched as they fired various energy weapons at the shield. Each blast dissipated harmlessly across its surface. The council members nodded in approval, their earlier laughter replaced with pride. "This is why we find your presentation amusing, Ambassador," the High Counselor explained, his tone now gentle, almost patronizing. "You come to us with weapons that were obsolete before most of our species achieved spaceflight. However," he paused, looking around the chamber, "we recognize Earth's potential. You have advanced remarkably quickly in other areas. Therefore, we will grant Earth provisional membership in the Galactic Council." Miller bowed slightly, swallowing his pride. "We thank the Council for this opportunity." As he left the chamber, Miller heard more chuckling behind him. His hands clenched into fists inside his pockets, but he kept walking. Let them laugh, he thought. They hadn't asked about the latest developments in railgun technology or the advances in kinetic bombardment systems. They hadn't even considered why humanity might keep developing ballistic weapons alongside energy weapons. Back on his ship, Miller sent a brief message to Earth. "Membership granted. Council underestimates us. Recommend continuing Project Thunderbolt." The response came quickly. Understood. Let them laugh. They'll learn soon enough. Colonel Thomas Reed sat in his underground office at the Pentagon, reviewing the reports from the Galactic Council meeting for the 10th time. While others saw humiliation in Ambassador Miller's presentation, Reed saw something else entirely: a critical weakness in alien military thinking. Play the shield demonstration again, he commanded his computer. The holographic display showed the alien energy shield deflecting various weapons. Reed leaned forward, stroking his gray beard as he watched frame by frame. "Computer, what materials are these shields designed to stop?" he asked. The AI responded in a clear voice. "According to Council documentation, standard shields are optimized for energy-based attacks including plasma, laser, particle beams, and antimatter streams." Reed smiled. It was just as he'd suspected. In their rush to advance technology, the aliens had forgotten the basics. They'd developed better and better defenses against energy weapons, but in doing so, they'd left themselves vulnerable to something far simpler. He pressed a button on his desk. "Get me General Adams. Priority 1. 10 minutes later, General Adams walked into Reed's office. She was a tall woman with short white hair and eyes that had seen countless battles. "This better be good, Tom. I was in the middle of a meeting about integrating our ships with alien tech." Reed pointed to his holographic display. "Look at this, Mary. Really look at it. What don't you see in any of their defense demonstrations?" General Adams watched for a few moments before her eyes widened. "They never tested physical projectiles." "Exactly." Reed stood up, excitement clear in his voice. "They've spent centuries developing defenses against energy weapons. They've completely forgotten about kinetic impacts. Their shields are tuned to stop energy, not mass." He pulled up another display, this one showing Earth's latest military developments. "Remember Project Thunderbolt? The magnetic acceleration weapon we've been developing. The one that can launch a tungsten rod at 30% light speed." Adams nodded. "What about it?" "Their shields might as well be tissue paper against something like that. They're not designed to handle physical impacts at those speeds, and that's just one weapon. Think about our railguns, our coil guns, our guided projectiles." Adams sat down heavily in a chair. "They're so focused on energy weapons, they've left themselves wide open to traditional ballistics. But surely someone else must have realized this." Reed shook his head. "That's the beauty of it. They've considered ballistic weapons obsolete for so long, they don't even test against them anymore. It's like forgetting to check if your spaceship is waterproof because you never expect it to land in an ocean." He pulled up more displays, showing various human weapon designs. "We've been developing these weapons for centuries, constantly improving them. While they went all in on energy weapons, we kept advancing everything. And because they think we're primitive, they're not even paying attention to what we're really capable of." "What are you suggesting?" Adams asked, though she already knew the answer. "We keep quiet. We accept their help in developing energy weapons, but we also continue developing our ballistic technology, if we ever need it." He let the sentence hang. Adams stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Pentagon courtyard where a group of alien diplomats were touring the facility. "The Council thinks we're like children playing with sticks and stones while they have laser rifles." "Yes," Reed smiled. "And that's exactly what we want them to think. Because sometimes a well-thrown stone can do what a laser rifle can't." They spent the next few hours drafting a classified report. The recommendation was clear. Earth would publicly embrace energy weapon development while secretly maintaining and advancing its ballistic weapon programs. They would let the galaxy think humanity was scrambling to catch up, while in reality, they were developing weapons that could pierce any energy shield in known space. As Adams left his office, she turned back to Reed. "You know what's funny? They're so advanced that they've actually gone backward. They've forgotten that sometimes the simple solution is the best solution." Reed nodded. "That's the thing about technology. Sometimes you advance so far that you circle back to the beginning. They'd forgotten the basics. Let's hope we never have to remind them. He turned back to his displays, already planning the next phase of Project Thunderbolt. Sometimes, being considered primitive had its advantages. After all, no one expects the cavemen to have the deadliest weapon in the room. The emergency alarm blared through the Galactic Council chamber. Red lights flashed across the crystalline walls as representatives from dozens of worlds rushed to their seats. The High Counselor's face was grim as he activated the central holographic display. "Another colony has fallen," he announced, his voice heavy. The display showed a burning space station orbiting a blue-green world. "The pirates are growing bolder." The pirates had appeared 3 months ago. They used advanced ships with shield technology that seemed impossible to penetrate. Energy weapons, the standard defense of every council race, bounced off their hulls like raindrops. Already, they had raided 12 colonies and destroyed 23 ships. "How is this possible?" asked one of the representatives, his scaled skin reflecting the emergency lights. "Their shields cannot be that strong." The High Counselor played a recording from the latest attack. A council defense fleet fired everything they had: plasma beams, particle cannons, and antimatter streams. The pirates' shields flickered but held strong. "They found a way to layer their shields," the defense minister explained. "Our weapons can't generate enough power to break through." The chamber doors burst open. Ambassador Miller walked in, looking tired but determined. As Earth's representative, he rarely spoke during emergency sessions. Today was different. "Earth volunteers to help," he said simply. The chamber fell silent for a moment before nervous laughter broke out. The High Counselor raised a hand for silence. "Ambassador Miller," he said kindly, "while we appreciate Earth's offer, this is not a situation for primitive weapons. These pirates have shields that our best energy weapons cannot penetrate." Miller nodded. "We understand. Still, we request permission to protect our own trade routes. Nothing more." The council members exchanged looks. Earth had established several trade routes with nearby systems, all of which were at risk. It seemed cruel to deny them the right to defend themselves, even if their efforts would be futile. "Permission granted," the High Counselor said. "But please be careful. We've lost too many ships already." 2 weeks later, the pirates struck again. Their target was a convoy carrying vital medical supplies to Earth's colonies. 3 massive pirate ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their black hulls gleaming against the stars. The pirates had expected easy prey. Instead, they found 2 Earth ships waiting. The vessels were odd-looking by Council standards, blocky and practical rather than sleek and advanced. The pirates didn't even bother raising their shields to maximum power. That was their first mistake. The Earth ships didn't fire energy weapons. Instead, long barrels extended from their sides. The pirate crews barely had time to wonder what they were looking at before the first shots were fired. Tungsten rods, accelerated to incredible speeds, slammed into the lead pirate ship. Their layered energy shields, designed to stop energy weapons, might as well have been paper against solid projectiles moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The rods tore through shields, hull, and internal systems like they weren't even there. The second pirate ship managed to turn, bringing its weapons to bear, but the Earth vessels were already firing again. Rail guns launched specially designed shells that split apart just before impact, turning each shot into a shotgun blast of hypersonic metal fragments. The third pirate ship followed, leaving its companions as drifting wrecks in space. When the battle recording reached the Council, no one laughed. They watched in stunned silence as humanity's primitive weapons tore through defenses that had stopped their best energy weapons cold. "Impossible," someone whispered. The High Counselor leaned back in his seat, his crystalline features unreadable. "It seems," he said slowly, "that we may have underestimated our Earth friends." More reports came in over the following days. Pirates began avoiding Earth-protected routes entirely. The attacks continued elsewhere, but now there was hope. Several council members quietly approached Ambassador Miller about defense cooperation agreements. Miller sent a short message to Earth. They're not laughing anymore. Operation Lead Rain is a success, requesting permission to begin Phase 2. The response came back an hour later. Permission granted. Show them what else we can do. General Adams stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Thunderchild, watching as her small fleet moved into position. After the success of their first anti-pirate operation, Earth had deployed more ships, each equipped with an array of advanced ballistic weapons. Status report, she commanded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. All ships in formation, her tactical officer reported. The Hammer, Lightning, and Stormbreaker are ready, weapon systems at full power. Adams nodded. Their fleet wasn't large by Council standards, just 4 ships. But each vessel carried enough firepower to level a small moon. The ships looked strange compared to the sleek Council vessels, their hulls bristling with railgun turrets and missile pods. Message from Council Command, the communications officer announced. They're tracking 3 pirate vessels heading toward the Centauri trade route. Estimated arrival in 20 minutes. Adams smiled. The pirates had grown cautious after their first encounter with Earth ships, but they hadn't given up. Instead, they'd started attacking in larger groups, thinking numbers would protect them. Battle stations, she ordered. Load the new tungsten penetrators. Let's show them what Project Thunderbolt can really do. Red lights flashed as crews rushed to their posts. In the weapons bay, massive rounds were loaded into the magnetic accelerator cannons. Each projectile was a marvel of human engineering. Tungsten cores wrapped in smart materials that could adjust their trajectory mid-flight. The pirates arrived right on schedule. 5 ships this time, not 3. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a perfect attack formation, their enhanced shields glowing with power. Enemy ships have spotted us, the sensor officer reported. They're charging weapons. Hold position, Adams commanded. Let them come to us. The pirate ships advanced slowly, their energy weapons powering up. They had learned caution after their last encounter with Earth vessels, but they still didn't understand what they were facing. They're in range, the tactical officer announced. Adams leaned forward. Execute Operation Lead Rain. All 4 Earth ships fired simultaneously. The magnetic accelerator cannons launched their rounds at tremendous speed. The pirates' shields flared brilliant blue as they diverted all power to their defenses. But these weren't ordinary rounds. As they approached their targets, each penetrator split into multiple sections, creating a spread pattern impossible to dodge. The pirates' layered shields, designed to stop energy weapons, might as well have been cobwebs trying to stop bullets. The first volley tore through 2 pirate ships, leaving them dead in space. The remaining 3 scattered, trying to find a safe distance to use their energy weapons. Launch Phase 2, Adams ordered. Missile pods on all 4 Earth ships opened. Hundreds of small projectiles burst forth, each one guided by tiny computers. These weren't explosive missiles. They were clusters of tungsten darts, designed to spread out and saturate an area with hypersonic projectiles. The pirate ships tried to dodge, their engines flaring as they executed evasive maneuvers. But there was nowhere to go. The space around them, filled with thousands of metal darts, each one moving fast enough to punch through their shields like they weren't even there. 2 more pirate ships fell, their hulls riddled with holes. The last one turned to flee, but a single shot from the Thunderchild's main gun caught it in the engine section. The ship spun helplessly, its power systems failing. Enemy vessels disabled, the tactical officer reported. No survivors detected. Adams nodded grimly. Send word to Council Command. The trade route is secured. As her crew began rescue and salvage operations, Adams received a priority message from Earth. She read it twice, her expression growing serious. New orders, she announced to her bridge crew. We're to proceed to the Council's central trading hub. Intelligence suggests the pirates are planning something big. She looked out at the debris field that had been 5 pirate ships. Earth's primitive weapons had just destroyed the largest pirate fleet they'd encountered so far. But something told her this was just the beginning. "Set course for the trading hub," she ordered, "and load the experimental rounds. I have a feeling we're going to need them." As the Thunderchild and its fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, Adams couldn't help but wonder what the Council would think when they saw what humanity's weapons could really do. The pirates had learned their lesson. Soon, the rest of the galaxy would too. The mood in the Galactic Council chamber had changed dramatically. Where once there had been laughter at human technology, now there was quiet respect. The High Counselor studied the latest battle reports with great interest. Another pirate fleet destroyed, he announced to the assembled representatives. This time near the Orion trade routes, Earth ships faced 6 pirate vessels. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. The chamber buzzed with whispers. Everyone had seen the footage from previous battles. Earth's primitive weapons had proven devastatingly effective against the pirates' advanced shields. A tall delegate from the mining world stood up. "High Counselor, my people request Earth protection for our shipping lanes. We offer premium trading rights in exchange." Before the High Counselor could respond, 3 more delegates stood, each offering similar deals. The council chamber erupted in voices as more representatives tried to speak. Ambassador Miller sat quietly in his seat, remembering how just months ago, these same delegates had laughed at Earth's weapons. Now they were practically fighting each other for human protection. The High Counselor raised his hand for silence. "Ambassador Miller, your ships have proven surprisingly capable. Would Earth be willing to expand its protection to more trade routes?" Miller stood slowly. "Earth would be happy to help protect Council trade routes. However, our fleet is limited in size. We can only cover so much territory." Perhaps, another delegate suggested, Earth could share its weapon technology. For defensive purposes, of course. Miller shook his head. "I'm afraid that won't be possible at this time. Our weapons require specialized training and infrastructure." This was only partly true. The real reason was simpler. Earth wasn't ready to share its advanced ballistic technology. Not when it gave them such a significant advantage. Suddenly, the emergency alerts flashed. A harried-looking council officer rushed into the chamber. "Pirates spotted near the Rigel system," he reported. 3 council freighters under attack. No military vessels in range. The High Counselor turned to Miller. "Ambassador, do you have any ships nearby?" Miller checked his datapad. "The Thunderchild and her fleet are 2 jumps away. They can be there in 20 minutes. "Please," the High Counselor said. It wasn't an order. It was a request for help. Miller sent the orders. Within minutes, reports started coming in. The Thunderchild's fleet had arrived just as the pirates were boarding the freighters. What followed was another display of Earth's military effectiveness. The chamber watched in silence as the battle played out on the main display. Earth ships launched their new scattershot rounds, clusters of small, guided projectiles that could track and hit multiple targets. The pirate shields failed under the barrage of physical impacts. None of the pirate ships escaped. All freighters secured, Miller reported. Minimal damage, no casualties among the crew. The chamber erupted in applause. Miller noticed that no one was laughing now. Instead, they looked at him with a mixture of respect and worry. They had finally realized that humanity's primitive technology was far more advanced than they had imagined. After the session, the High Counselor approached Miller privately. "Your people have proven themselves more capable than we expected," he admitted. "But these pirates, they're becoming more organized. Our intelligence suggests they're planning something big." Miller nodded. "We've noticed the pattern. They're gathering their forces. Will Earth help if they attack a major target?" "Of course," Miller replied. "Earth stands with its allies." The High Counselor seemed relieved, but Miller noticed he kept glancing at the battle footage still playing on the screens. The ancient being was finally realizing what Colonel Reed had known months ago. In their rush to develop energy weapons, the Council races had left themselves vulnerable to more basic forms of attack. As Miller left the chamber, his datapad beeped with a message from Earth Command. Phase 3 authorized. Prepare for full deployment. He smiled slightly. The pirates were planning something big. Well, so was Earth. And this time, they would show the galaxy exactly what humanity's primitive weapons could do. The Council's central trading hub was a massive space station that looked like a shining metal flower in space. Its 6 huge pedals held docking bays for thousands of ships, while the central core housed millions of beings from across the galaxy. It was the heart of galactic commerce. And now it was under attack. The largest pirate fleet ever seen dropped out of faster-than-light travel all at once. 50 ships, their black hulls bristling with weapons, surrounded the station. Their leader's message was simple: surrender or die. Energy shields failing. A station officer shouted as the pirates' first volley hit. The station's advanced defenses, the pride of Council technology, crumpled under the enhanced weapons. The High Counselor stood in the station's command center, watching as his best defense ships tried to fight back. Their energy weapons splashed harmlessly against the pirates' improved shields. "Status of the evacuation?" he asked. "Barely started," his aide replied. "There are too many people. We need at least 2 hours to get everyone to safety." "We don't have 2 hours," the High Counselor said grimly, watching another defense ship explode. Then a new voice came over the command center speakers. "This is General Adams of the Earth Defense Fleet. Help has arrived." 20 Earth ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel behind the pirate fleet. They were led by the Thunder Child, now decorated with kill marks from previous battles. But these weren't the same ships the pirates had faced before. "What are those things on their hulls?" the High Counselor asked, squinting at the display. Each Earth ship now carried massive new weapons. They looked like huge rotating barrels, crackling with magnetic energy. "New toys." General Adams' voice came through again. "We call them magnetic accelerator cannons. Would you like a demonstration?" The Earth fleet opened fire. The new weapons launched special rounds that used gravity manipulation to increase their mass mid-flight. When they hit the pirate ship shields, the impacts were devastating. Ships that had shrugged off the Council's best weapons were torn apart by the sheer kinetic force. The pirates tried to regroup, turning their ships to face the new threat. But Earth's fleet had trained for this moment. They split into pairs, executing complex maneuvers that kept them out of the pirates' firing arcs while maintaining their own attacks. "Launch the drones," Adams ordered. Each Earth ship released dozens of small, unmanned vehicles, but instead of carrying energy weapons, these drones were basically guided bullets. They accelerated to incredible speeds, aiming themselves at the pirate ships. 15 enemy ships destroyed. Adams' tactical officer reported. "They're trying to concentrate their shields to the rear." "Perfect." Adams smiled. "Launch Operation Buckshot." The front of the Thunder Child split open, revealing a massive weapon that looked like an ancient shotgun scaled up to ship size. It fired once, launching thousands of tiny tungsten pellets at near-light speed. The spread pattern was so wide that dodging was impossible. 5 more pirate ships died in that single shot. The pirate fleet began to break apart, individual ships trying to escape. But Earth's fleet had positioned itself perfectly, cutting off their retreat paths. The remaining pirates found themselves caught between the human ships and the station they had tried to raid. "Enemy fleet is in disarray," the tactical officer reported. "They're signaling surrender." In the station's command center, the High Counselor watched in amazement as the greatest threat the Council had ever faced was systematically destroyed by the very weapons they had once mocked. "How?" he asked softly. "How did they develop such effective weapons?" His aide, who had studied Earth's history, answered quietly. "They never stopped improving their ballistic weapons, sir. While we focused entirely on energy weapons, they kept perfecting the basics. And now, they're the most powerful military force in known space," the High Counselor finished. The battle was over in less than 30 minutes. The pirate fleet was destroyed or captured, and the station was saved. As Earth ships moved in to help with repairs, the High Counselor sent an urgent message to the full Council. It was time to reevaluate humanity's position in the galaxy. The species they had laughed at had just saved them all. And somehow, he suspected this was only the beginning of what humans could do. 1 month after the Great Raid, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The Earth delegation no longer sat in the back. Instead, they occupied a prominent position near the High Council seats. Ambassador Miller stood at the central platform, addressing the assembled representatives. "Earth appreciates the Council's recognition," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "We look forward to deeper cooperation between all our species." The High Counselor stood next to him, his crystalline features reflecting the chamber's lights. "The Council officially recognizes Earth as a first-rank military power," he announced. "Their defensive capabilities have proven essential to galactic security." No one laughed this time. The room was filled with respectful silence as the High Counselor continued. "Furthermore, we propose the creation of a joint defense initiative. Earth will lead the development of new defensive technologies, combining their expertise in ballistic weapons with our energy-based systems." Colonel Reed, sitting among the Earth delegation, allowed himself a small smile. He remembered the day they had first discovered the aliens' weakness to physical projectiles. Now that discovery had changed humanity's place in the galaxy. After the ceremony, various alien representatives approached the Earth delegation. Many carried trade proposals and military cooperation agreements. Others simply wanted to learn more about the weapons that had saved the trading hub. "Tell me," one delegate asked Reed, "how did you maintain such effective ballistic weapon development when everyone else abandoned it?" Reed considered his answer carefully. "We never forgot our history," he explained. "Every technology has its place. The simple solutions are often the most reliable." In the station's military dock, General Adams conducted tours of the Thunder Child for Council military officials. The ship's hull still bore scratch marks from the final battle, worn proudly like badges of honor. "These are our standard railgun turrets," she explained to the amazed officers. "And this," she pointed to the massive weapon that had turned the tide of battle, "is our latest magnetic accelerator cannon." "But it's so basic," one alien officer said, though no longer with mockery in his voice. "Just physical projectiles accelerated to high speeds." Adams nodded. "Sometimes the oldest ideas are the best ones. You just have to keep improving them." Back on Earth, factories began producing new hybrid weapons, combining human ballistic technology with alien energy systems. The first tests showed promising results. Shields that could stop both energy and physical attacks, guns that fired plasma-wrapped tungsten rounds. In his Pentagon office, Reed reviewed the latest reports. Pirate activity had dropped to nearly zero. The few remaining raiders avoided any system with Earth ships present. The galaxy had entered a new era of peace, maintained by the very weapons that had once been laughed at. His computer beeped with a new message from Ambassador Miller. "The Council wants to know if we have any other primitive technologies they should know about." Reed laughed as he typed his response. "Tell them we're just getting started." The High Counselor made one final announcement that day, one that would be remembered in galactic history. "Let this be a lesson to us all," he said, his voice solemn. "True advancement doesn't mean abandoning the old ways, but building upon them." Earth reminded us that sometimes the simple solutions are the most effective. They proved that every technology, no matter how basic it might seem, has value. He turned to face the Earth delegation directly. "We once laughed at your weapons. Now we owe you our lives and our security. The galaxy is a safer place because you stayed true to your path, even when we mocked you for it." As the council session ended, Miller walked with the High Counselor through the station's observation deck. They watched Earth ships patrolling alongside council vessels, their different designs reflecting their different approaches to technology. "What's next for Earth?" the High Counselor asked. Miller smiled. "We have some ideas about improving faster-than-light travel, something involving gravity and mass acceleration." The High Counselor shook his head. but now his laugh was friendly. "Let me guess. It's another primitive solution." "Of course," Miller replied. "Those are what we do best."